right, guys, welcome back. We have a very cool lineup in front of us. A whole plethora of Klingon weaponry.
I think the complete range of weapons, sir.
There's no TOS Disruptor. There's no TOS.
That's true. I don't have that. Actually, and I am also missing the standard Beaky Disruptor from Star Trek. Not the Beaky, the Star Trek 3 Klingon Disruptor. Which is actually this Klingon rifle.
Spoilers.
It actually is this piece here. So it would be. I don't have a separate one. I just have the rifle version. So
Cool.
that's
yeah. And it's also got the little lip at the top, hasn't it?
right. Well, right. So this is they got rid of this after Star Trek 3.
Yeah.
Because what happens is every time they pulled it out of the holster, boom, it broke off, and that is actually a car seat from a I think like a 1/18th scale car, plastic model car.
See that,
Yeah. So there you go.
Awesome.
But anyway, so we have. Let's go down the line. What do we actually have here? And are they all 100% original? And are they hero or stunt?
Yeah. Okay. So these are all, for the most part, stunts. There's really no hero disruptors because none of them had lights.
Yep.
No, they were all made. So this is from Star Trek Enterprise, which is really I know. Don't point. And it's basically as you can see, it's a power drill that they took and they modified. This is made of. This is actually made of rubber, but it's really dense rubber. It's a really hard way that they started making them. For Enterprise, they used ISS was the prop maker. They changed prop houses for various reasons. So it's interesting. It's not my favorite by any because it looks like a power drill to me. But yeah.
It's got a silly little stock on it.
Yeah, it's like, why do you have a stock on a pistol?
Well, I guess they're trying to say, hey, it's going to evolve into that, but
Yeah, I know.
if it's a separate piece, and there's buttons here to doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah. No, not my favorite.
Does it even link aesthetically to the?
No, it doesn't. That's the other thing. It doesn't make any sense in the grand scheme of things. So the next one you see is this. This is what's called the Death Sting.
Right.
The Death Sting from Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
I gotta say, if I'm not mistaken, this is a lightsaber.
No, you are mistaken. This is actually the receiver of an M16 rifle.
Oh, is it?
toy.
Because this part looks like very much like a lightsaber.
Yeah, it kind of does. They just chopped it off here. It was interesting because this was on eBay, and we were like, the guy was like, I got it from someone who worked on set, which is like the oldest story in the book. Yeah. Sure, he did. And so. So we all thought we were all convinced it was fake, and we're like, yeah, that's not real. And then I bid on it anyway because I needed a replica. I try and fill in with replicas if I don't have the original. Yeah. So I bought it for a couple $100, and because I hadn't seen many replicas. And then we got it, and when I got it, I was like, this is injection molded, and this is vacuum formed. No one makes replicas that way, right? Usually you're just resin casting them. So we that day spent like 3 hours on the phone with Brett Jones and another collector who's since passed away who knew a lot about this stuff. And I was taking a gazillion photos and sending them to them, and they were looking at it, and we basically said, well, we think it's real. We weren't sure though. You were like, we think it's real. It doesn't make sense that anyone would replicate it. And then I was up at the Sci-Fi Museum in Seattle, and it turns out Paul Allen had one just like it.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, and he had bought it at auction. So we're like, okay, pretty sure this is the real thing.
And how many were actually made for the movie? Because you don't see.
Don't
them.
know because all you see it is in the holster.
Yeah.
It was so we have no idea how many were made, but certainly no more than the number of Klingons that were on the bridge. This is. You saw it on the first officer's holster. That's about it.
And it's not really. When you say that one doesn't link design-wise, this really isn't designed. It's made from pieces.
Yeah, it's a kit bash.
Yes.
The handle's the only thing that's original, really. Everything else is from a kit. So that's the Death Sting, which was then remade. We'll jump ahead here real quick. That was then remade for Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Yes.
So this is from Star Trek: The Next Generation, and it's
season 1, I would assume. Season 1, season 2.
Yeah, well, when was Heart of Glory? I think that was season 1, wasn't it? Yeah. So now what's interesting about this is they basically recast it. It was basically, it's the same basic piece. You can see, you know, they took one of these and recast it in resin. This has a metal end on it.
Looks better, I mean, the design wise.
Yeah, and they redid the handle, and actually these two little buttons here, those are actually German, World War II German helmets for like 1/32 scale figures.
Wow.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so there's that one. You have it in chronological order
We
here.
do. This one's cool.
Yes, this is the semi-famous Gorkon Disruptor. I love it. Some people call it the Buccaneer.
Yeah.
Because it kind of looks that way. It's
does.
my favorite because I love the design. I just think it's a great design. But basically, it was made for Gorkon in Star Trek 6, and you never see it. It's in
Is
his
it on
holster.
screen though?
I believe it's in his holster.
Okay.
So, and it's then reused somewhere else. Where?
Next Generation first season as a holster.
Jared's off screen. He's Jared screen caps everything. Next Generation,
Yeah, first season as a holster stuff.
the holster stuff. Aha. So.
So in terms of chronological, was that designed before the famous one then?
So no, that design was actually it as far as in the real world
Yeah.
and the productions. Yeah, because this design, which again we'll see it in the rifle. You remember seeing these rifles in Star Trek 3. These rifles were basically the Klingon Disruptor, which basically was that piece, right? And then they stuck a butt on it, and to make a rifle out of it. And the problem with this design, which is kind of cool, is that every time you pulled it out of the holster, you broke it off. So they were like, we need a better design, because that's not really a design made for a holster, which is why you get the beaky nose.
Yeah, I like that.
So the beaky basically redesigns the top portion. They basically cut this portion and the front off.
I didn't realize there were so many differences, I'm going to be honest, between the various.
Yeah.
So that's
exactly.
that yeah. So then you get the beaky, and then and these are the two different designs. This one is has a pump action, which I have no idea why you would need a pump action on a ray gun. I need to charge my ray gun, nonetheless, that's this was from Star Trek 6, I think you see it in. So I got this one, and it's resin. It's a nice heavy piece.
Yeah, it's a nice one.
It's good. That one is your standard beaky that they use throughout Deep Space Nine.
Now I gotta ask. I've got the Artist Island prop for this, and what do you think of this trigger design on with the thumb where it slides in there? It's kind of, I find it uncomfortable and unwieldy.
I will say there are certainly no left-handed Klingons, right?
Yeah.
Because if you were a lefty,
Yeah.
it's like okay, it's it doesn't
a great
really.
point.
You can't hold
Yeah.
Can't have trigger discipline on this. If you're keeping your finger off the button, you gotta
Yeah.
go around. So I guess they killed off all the left-handed Klingons.
Oh,
So
maybe,
it's
maybe.
listen, that is your typical art department thing. Hey, that would be really cool. Well,
I mean,
I have a
the
trigger guard here.
The Cardassian has one similar, where there's just a guard on each side of the thumb,
Yeah,
which is more comfortable than this, I find.
yeah. Yes, I'm not a fan.
Okay.
But so there's this and the beaky obviously is kind of like the standard Klingon Disruptor. That's the one we got. Now, honestly, there's nothing in my book more elegant than the Klingon Disruptor from TOS.
I agree.
It's one of my favorite ray guns of all time.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that's it.
So we also have some rifles over here, some
Yes.
Klingon rifles.
Well, I've shown you the Klingon. Yeah, so I showed you the Klingon rifle, but this is the big Mac Daddy. This is the badass.
pretty big.
This is the Klingon Assassin's Rifle
Let me hold that. So
from Star Trek 6.
Wow, this is huge.
Right, and
It's 'cause
so
it's
it's cool.
black.
It's got the Klingon style handle here, and
stock.
kind of a Klingon stock back here from the rifles. So kind of looking. The great thing is it all comes apart because you.
and there's
The lore is that Greg Jean made this in a weekend. It's got some found parts up here from an M16.
Looks like part of a
One again?
alien's pulse rifle there.
Yeah, yeah, and it all comes apart because you saw it come apart in the movie.
and there's a case for it, yes.
And we have a case for it as well.
And what do you think about this design then to be Klingon or even, although theoretically a sniper,
Yeah.
Try not to look Klingon.
I'm sorry.
No, I love it. I think it's incredibly
Oh, it's a great.
cool.
I love rifles.
It's not as heavy as you think it would be. Actually.
No, it's of course because it's a prop.
Well, yeah.
And so, yeah, but it's pretty damn cool.
I read a story online, obviously, and this is the hero. This is the one.
Yes, this is the hero. There are at least 2 stunts that I know of.
Yeah.
But they're rubber. This is obviously, everything from metal to resin to injection molded plastic.
I read a story online that this rifle is actually well, it's not because we can see it there. It's actually a Federation assault phaser with parts.
Okay, so that is the prototype that they put together.
Right.
And which is, I think you see that in the Art of Star Trek book.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just a prototype. It had an assault phaser, but they were like, that's not what they went with. They said, and that's why they sent Greg Jean home one weekend, and he built that from scratch.
Wow.
So yeah.
Okay, so it's sort of part of the timeline anyway, in some small.
Yeah, it was part of the production.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's your favourite, Stuart? Just to round it up.
Well, my favorite would be this one. It's got, like you said, it's got a good weight to it. This is kind of odd, but I like the addition of this extra bulk here. I think it looks great. Plus, it's got the Klingon emblem there. So, and the assault rifle or the sniper rifle. Yeah. So that would be my favorite. What about yours?
Well, I think this one is a really interesting one. It's very Buccaneer, and how the fact they had some of these other designs, and as you said, that rifle obviously came first, so they reinvented it but kept it the same. And I guess this is meant to be the elite Klingon version. It's the general the Chancellor. So it's pretty. It's a little bit more generic. There's less Klingonness to it, and the shapes are very aggressive, but it's a bit more generic. So I think I'll stick with the TNG one just because I've seen so many people get shot with it. I mean, it's just iconic.
Yeah, Alec, you take that one. It's your favorite.
Yep.
So today, I guess that's it for the Klingon weapons segment. Today is a good day to die. Qapla'.